Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Legendary Leaders. I'm your host, Katrina Jameson. I'm the founder of Legend Leaders, where we arm business leaders with the strategies they need to live life on their terms, a legendary life. Hey, it is the beginning of September. We are kicking off a new month. And you know how this works. When we kick off a new month, we kick off a new topic. We talk about something new every month, but we keep that theme throughout the month so we can build on it, so we can really master what it is we're talking about. So what are we talking about in the month of September? What topic have I picked out for us to dive into? That is the topic. The topic for the month of September is embracing your too much characteristics, right? Your too much characteristics. Because we know here at Legend Leaders that women especially are told we're too much. And it can really damage our ability to move forward. It really holds us back if we don't embrace it. So this whole month of September, we are going to walk through how to embrace your too much character. Now, let me tell you a little story. When I was a kid, now a little backstory about my biological parents. Grew up with my mom. She remarried whenever I was 7. Got to see my biological father off and on, right? As those things work out. And so I would go on weekends and see my biological father and his side of the family. And one time when I was about 8, I would say, maybe 7 or 8, maybe 9, between 7 and 9, I went over to visit him and his family. And at that point, that weekend, I was told at one point, oh yeah, you have ugly feet like your biological father. You have ugly toes. It's essentially the gist of the conversation. Well, until that point in my life, I'd never thought about, were my feet ugly or pretty? What did that look like? What were those terms? What did good feet look like? What did ugly feet look like? I'd never thought about it. I was a kid, right? I mean, it was just my body. They were feet. They just took me everywhere I wanted to go when I was playing, and that's all that I had ever cared about before then. But in that moment, I started to question everything about my feet. And I know that sounds crazy, but just think about it, because no doubt this has happened to you. I started questioning my feet. I started looking at my feet and, I guess my feet are ugly. I guess, my toes are shorter. I have short toes. I don't have any, the second toe isn't bigger than the big toe. My toes are properly even and spaced. And I just have, fatter feet, right? Just my feet. There's nothing wrong with them. But at that point in my life, I started doubting everything about my feet, and I was very self-conscious about them. I stopped wearing flip-flops. I would only wear tennis shoes or closed-toed shoes. I'd never show off my toes. And it became a complex for a while, until I got into college and was old enough to question and start going, okay, now wait a minute. Why do I think my feet are ugly? And who was it that told me that? And should I have really listened to that feedback? I grew up enough and was able to start asking the right questions, and I let go of that thought, right? I wear flip-flops every day. If I'm not in dress clothes and I'm not going to a meeting, I'm in flip-flops. And so I like my feet. I've embraced my feet. They're not ugly at all. It was just someone's opinion that I allowed to really cause some problems in my life for several years, especially as a kid. Now, I tell you that story because that story is not uncommon relative to the feedback. It's very similar to the feedback that we get when we're told we're too much. And what I mean by that is this. We're moving forward in our careers. We're doing the things in our lives that we're good at. We're very good at doing certain things. But all of a sudden, we have someone who comes into our lives and they have authority. Now, this person with my feet, they were an adult, so they naturally had authority over me. You have someone who comes into your life with authority, and they give you feedback about being too much. Because here's the deal. You're too smart. You solve problems too quickly. You communicate too effectively. You're too strong. Maybe you're too pretty. Maybe it's all of the above, right? But you're too much. And so when you get that feedback from that position, that person with authority, a peer, a supervisor, a lot of customers even, depending upon what that is, you start to then question and doubt your skills. It's natural. And the reason why we do that is because we've never thought about what we're too much at, what we are really strong at delivering, what our personality traits are that make us great at what we do. We downplay our strengths even, especially as women. And because we do that, when it comes time to really have that feedback come back at us, we're asking for feedback. We know that that's what we're supposed to do, right? And quite frankly, a lot of us welcome it, right? I welcome feedback. I want to be better. But there are certain things that we have to sit down and know about ourselves that, hey, this might not suit everyone, but this is my strength. And I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to try to please everyone. I'm going to focus on working with the right individuals in the right culture, in the right environment that really encourages my strengths, that allows me to be me. But if you don't know who you are, if you haven't embraced your too much nature, right, the characteristics that make you too much, then what will happen is when you get that feedback, you're going to take it in and you're going to start digesting it, and you're naturally going to take the feedback and start trying to change who you are. It's just human nature. We all do that. If someone points out something and they say it's a flaw, then we are going to see it as such. The way that we embrace our too much nature or characteristics is that we go ahead and we acknowledge them and we identify them and we embrace them and we take them on and we wear them with pride, such that when someone gives us feedback, we can see it for what it is. Okay? Now, if you came to me and said, Katrina, you have a Southern accent and you speak extremely fast, I'd say, yep, I am too much. Thank you. Because I know that about myself. And I know that some people are okay with that and some people aren't. And I'm not going to please everyone. And I'm okay with that. You must sit down today and embrace your too much. You need to figure out what that is within you. If someone has told you that you're too much in a certain area, then maybe it's already been identified for you. But instead of letting someone else identify it and call it out as a flaw or a negative, I want you to sit down and list out your strengths, the things that make you you, the things that make you amazing at what you do every day. When you show up, people are like, oh my gosh, thank God she is here, because we can't do this without her. We need her help with this. That's what I want you to think about. And I want you to make the list and I want you to embrace it such that when you get the feedback, you're ready. You already know it's not something that you're willing to negotiate or change about yourself, because you know those are the things that make you great. And then you can walk in the power that you have, and you can get better at asking and seeking feedback to understand why they're providing you with that feedback. And that's what we're going to talk about next week, is asking questions, because once you embrace it, then you're in a position where you can ask more questions. So we're going to talk about that next week. So don't miss next week's episode, where we keep going down this pathway and we ask better questions. Okay? But today, this week, your challenge is to embrace your too much nature. Make your list. What are you too much at? What are your gifts that maybe people want to quell, and in a lot of situations they will if it's not the right environment, and maybe they're afraid or they feel a little inferior to you in those areas, that they're going to give you some feedback. You set the tone now. Don't let anyone else do it for you. You do it. Define the characteristics, embrace them, be proud of them. Those are the things that make you unique. They make you special. And those are the things that you are going to use, your gifts that you're going to use to help make that organization better, your organization better, the world better. Embrace it. Go and be too much, because here's the deal. I would rather be too much than not enough any day. With that, go and be legendary.